So I want to thank everybody for being here on this rainy evening. And I'd like to really thank Jordana and the team at KJCC for making this possible, and Pamela, as I said before, Juanjo and Evelyn, for all of you for making this event possible. So today I'm going to speak briefly about the organization of this exhibition, the archive, and some notable examples of the materials that we selected. These archival materials were digitized and are on view at the Kimmel windows just around the corner from here, wrapping around the Kimmel building on La Guardia below Washington Square and West 3rd Street. The NYU Tannen Wagner collections, Abraham Lincoln Brigade archives, preserve the histories of U.S. volunteers who fought alongside the Spanish Republic in the Spanish Civil War of 1936 to 39, as well as those who provided humanitarian assistance. Volunteers were communists. Most feared the spread of fascism and anti-Semitism, because as you know, right-wing General Francisco Franco, who became the eventual leader of the coup against the Republican government, received aid from Adolf Hitler's Nazi Germany and Benito Mussolini's fascist Italy. So they were union members, writers and artists, college students and professors, doctors and sailors, men of diverse classes, professions, and backgrounds fought in Spain. Among the 2,800 volunteers were 22 students from here, from NYU. So I'd like to just remember that. So the archive's holdings include 10,000 photographs, 200 full-color posters, postcards, oral history interviews, biographical materials, radio scripts, and artifacts. It's really a phenomenal archive for any of you interested in any aspect of the war and of progressive social movements in the United States. You should definitely check it out. And so what you're seeing here is a picture of what one of the introductory window panels looks like up here at Kimmel. And it's in the colors of the Spanish Republican flag. What you'll see is that as you walk along the two sides of the windows, the walls are, the displays are in only one color of the flag, so red, yellow, purple. And that's because I want you to kind of reconstruct the flag as you walk along the windows, suggesting the layers of histories and memories evoked by the images and sort of the things that this archive brings to life. The exhibition was inspired by my book, Visual Propaganda Exhibitions on the Spanish Civil War, which examines developments in the Republican and pro-Franco camps, and was developed and the exhibition was developed as part of an undergraduate art history seminar here at NYU, which I taught with assistant university archivist Daniel Mista, who you see here with the students working in the archive. And we curated the exhibition with students in the seminar, undergraduate students Alexia Arizurieta, Rachel Gamson, Gabriela Matos, Julia Sepuez, and Malaika Shah. This was a dream that I had since I started working here, that I wanted to do a show with students, so it came together. And that's me, obviously, having the time of my life. So my interest in the subject and my understanding of the importance of archives emerged from my family history. While researching my dissertation, I found a few archival documents related to my grandfather, who fought against Franco but did not want to speak about it, as well as other family members' political activities. And what you're seeing is a document held in the Centro Documental de Memoria Histórica. This archive was originally gathered as part of Franco's surveillance in order to gather materials to persecute supporters of the Republican Popular Front that won the February 16, 1936 elections. These papers are related to the April 26, 1936 elections to choose 473 electors that voted in President Manuel Azaña, along with 473 members of the Congress of Deputies. So it was like a sort of a multi-step electoral process. And signatories include my grandfather Vicente and his brother Jose Luis Basilio Gaztambide, who represented their party Izquierda Republicana. My sister found a recently digitized archival document with an informant's description of Jose Luis's political activities. I just have to read this. He was a woodworker, affiliated with Izquierda Republicana and called Asanista for his enthusiastic defense of the Republic. He was a propagandist for the Red Cross, was a militiaman in Alicante, then entered the police force. He was involved in the detention and identification of right-wing sympathizers. He was always always showing off his pistol. He was a political prisoner, sentenced to 16 years, but received conditional parole in 1943. He died soon after that, so I never met him. But it's kind of, I was a grad student, just kind of digging around, and it was kind of weird to see my grandfather's signature on the paper, and it took me many years to understand what that was. And so we originally intended, just thought, a little meme, this is also part of today's propaganda. We originally intended for the exhibition to coincide with the 2020 elections, but it was postponed, of course, due to the pandemic. In memes, articles, and scholarly writing, the dangers of Trump's ideology have been underscored, and you can see here, an example of that. After President Trump's efforts to overturn the electoral results and his role in the violent assault on the Capitol, the parallels between fascism in Spain and the United States escalated. The fact that my grandfather and his brother were targeted for validating the Popular Front electoral results was a chilling, unexpected personal parallel that I unfortunately saw when this happened. Trump acknowledged his support for fascism in Spain today by speaking to a rally organized by the Vox Party, which defends Franco's dictatorship. And this is a screenshot from Vox Party leader Santiago Abascal's Twitter account. And not only did Trump submit a video in support of this party, but Viktor Orban and Giorgia Meloni also sent messages in, and they even played a song especially composed for the event, calling for a return to what happened in 1936. So, pretty, obvious. It is important to reflect on the provenance of the Abraham Lincoln Brigade archive. Fragile postcards, posters, other printed materials, and objects brought home by veterans or donated by them or by family members long after the war. They left Spain having experienced brutal combat. They had many, many casualties. They crossed over the mountains to France or were evacuated in late 1938 after the international brigades as a whole were dissolved in October by Prime Minister Juan Negrin. Yet despite the dire situation, they took care to bring back these fragile materials. So many faced political persecution in the U.S., most notably during the Cold War era witch hunts, yet they kept this evidence of their political beliefs, preserving the memory of Republican Spain. This beautiful postcard by Josep Subirats Zamora, captioned, "Defend the Republic, write to your friends all over the world," indicates the power of producers and observers attributed to propaganda materials, especially given their wide circulation as posters on the walls to postcards in the mail. And Jordana has written a lot about this, about the postcards especially. I highly recommend the book that I mentioned earlier. So we were actually, very excited about having the opportunity to show this in the windows because, of course, they were digitized and they're not exactly to scale, but at least you get a sense of maybe what people would have felt like when they saw these posters on the street. And then the other materials that went along with them, and they would privately have their little postcard and then send it out to some people. And so the caption in that particular beautiful postcard is in Catalan, and we have many examples of materials produced by the Catalan government's amazing propaganda commissariat, most likely due to the volunteers' travels to their training bases and fronts via Catalonia. We have representation of many political entities, labor unions, militias, you name it. So we're able to kind of give them a pretty broad sampling of the different groups that were supporting the Republic. And the collection includes well-known and iconic images as well as lesser-known ones, but this one, I think, is one that's very iconic for people looking at this period, called The Nationalist. And as you can see, it's a rendering of the allegorical ship of fools, transformed into a vessel carrying members of the coalition that supported the coup. And you can see a Catholic cardinal, a capitalist with a swastika lapel pin, a military general, and racialized North African mercenary troops. The Spanish imperial eagle is transformed into a bird of prey, perched on a scaffold from where a map of Spain is hanging, pointing to the contradictions in the rebels calling themselves nationalists when they were supported by Hitler and Mussolini. Such colorful satirical images were designed to be understood even by the largely illiterate segment of the population. And here you can see another one of the windows, women in the war from the front lines to the rear guard. And the topics for each window, I should say, were devised by the students themselves. They were the ones that decided on the topics. And then we all collaborated along with Daniel, our archivist, on the writing of the first drafts of the text and the selection of the materials for the windows. So it was a real team effort during the course of the semester. And so the topics, as you can see, are life on the front lines, agriculture and industry, cultural preservation efforts, a window about the Abraham Lincoln Brigade and who they were, the American Volunteers Against Fascism. Another one explaining what the politics of the Popular Front were to unite the left at the time, representations of the civilian spaces under siege, and then one on the big efforts to combat illiteracy even in the midst of war, and then depictions of the fascist enemy, American responses to the war, and then finally witnesses and victims, children in the war. In the window that you're seeing here that is related to gender roles, there's materials issued by diverse entities, among them a poster in Catalan promoting women's work in factories, you can see. Two watercolors by Ray Vila, known as Sim, depicting anarchist defense of the Republic through the roles of women that were affiliated with the anarchists who were acting as nurses, but also some of them were members in the militia actually at the front. Then you also see the divisions in the front because there's a postcard warning soldiers about venereal disease with a ghostly image of a woman as a dangerous temptress, which reflects the Republican government's efforts to remove women from battle. And there were some rare and particularly moving objects that we included. So just the drawing you see here, this is in the window about children in the war, witnesses and victims. And this is from a 1938 booklet of drawings by children at the Colonia Casa Ben Mayer. And this was a house to welcome refugee children, some of whom were orphans, named after a volunteer whose plane was shot down on February 1937. And so the texts that you see there are dedicated to his family and signed by all of the children at the Colonia. It's, from what I can surmise, I believe that the one on the left is actually depicting the moment when Ben Leiter actually fell from his plane to his death, which is kind of shocking that they were sending that to his parents. But this is important because the students themselves felt that we had images of dead people and victims of bombardments, and especially children in the archive, but they said that they would rather have the children's voices represented and how they viewed their traumatic experiences. And so you can see also on the right, there's another drawing depicting him in combat. And the inscriptions are very beautiful, and they're letting his parents know that his sacrifice for the cause would not be forgotten. And this is actually, these are my two favorite things in the whole exhibition. Maybe also too because I also draw. But these are two sheets from a sketchbook of drawings by Meredith Sid, known as Sid Graham. And he was a commercial artist from New Jersey. He drew posters he saw while traveling to the front after arriving in Spain in March 1937. And you can see how he was trying to kind of translate the Catalan slogans on the posters. Not 100% accurately, but he, I think it's very sweet too how he was trying to sort of understand the Catalan language. And these posters were part of a campaign in March of 1937, February of 1937, the Pro-Popular Army Week, that were trying to promote military cohesion. And so this was like right before he arrived. And we can imagine his enthusiasm when seeing how artists like himself were contributing to the war effort. And unfortunately, Graham was killed in action at Brunete on July 18, 1937, the anniversary of the military rebellion. And I do not know how he ended up. It must have been one of his comrades, had the sketchbook and then made its way to us. But I think it's really a treasure. And these are two of the posters that he actually drew, as you can see what a great artist he was. And so